Hello, I'm Lexi, and today I'll be showing you the process behind my most recent wall hanging project. I like to begin with some inspiration, so here I am flipping through a few books about quilting and folk art. For this project, I wanted to experiment with appliqué using wool felt. Appliqué is a traditional way to add flourishes to textiles, and wool felt is a great natural fiber to incorporate. It has a really nice texture and comes in beautiful colors. I decided I wanted to recreate a traditional quilt block in a banner style. So I found the block in one of my mini quilting books, and it's called a Whig Rose. That's W-H-I-G for wig. While there is some cultural significance in the original use of the block, as Whig was an early American political party, I personally chose this design because of how bold and striking it was. It's so unique compared to its counterparts from the same time period, and it just really stood out to me. The felt sheets I used were 12 inches by 12 inches, and I only had one of each color, so I had to be strategic about placement to maximize the use of the surface area. While I kept pretty true to the central focus of the design, I went a bit rogue on the surrounding greenery and flowers, just sort of doing whatever I wanted to make sure that I had elements that worked with the amount of felt that I had available. Once the central elements were sewn on, I played around a bit with the placement of the surrounding flowers and leaves, pinning them onto the canvas before attaching them using the machine. I ended up using the satin stitch on my machine to attach the elements to one another, and then to attach them to a canvas backing. Here I am showing off the block. There's a mirror to my left that I keep turning to look at the design in. For some reason, seeing the design reflected in the mirror really helps me look for inconsistencies and areas that I'd like to improve. So in this case, there were some elements that I wanted to have more symmetry on, and I ended up improving those later on in the project. So the next step was adding a border. I wanted to create a quilted look and feel here without actually piecing things together, so I experimented with the placement of different shapes and pinned them in place for sewing. One shape I used that is an actual quilting shape is a sawtooth star, so here it is here. I am so pleased with how these pink triangles turned out. I really took a chance on the sizing since I was working with a limited amount of felt, and I ended up discovering that I could get them to stretch out a bit more than expected and totally reach both sides of the border as I hoped for. The reason that I used a canvas backing for this project is that the wool is pretty thick and dense, and the canvas helped to keep the design rigid and wrinkle-free, especially after I gave it a good ironing. A lot more sewing later, and some additional elements added here and there to improve the symmetry, and I was done. As this was a big experiment, I just sewed the raw edges to prevent the canvas from further fraying and nailed it directly to the wall. Very pro. But it's hanging up in my office, and I'm so pleased with how my first foray into appliqué turned out. I'm really excited to give it another try, incorporate it into my quilted wall hangings, and just do more banner styles like this. I really enjoy working with these natural fibers, and yeah, I'm excited to see what I can do now that there's something else in my ever-expanding toolkit. Thank you so much for your time and consideration and attention, and I hope to see you here again soon.